What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Now kick back, relax, and come take a ride with your boy. Man, I just wrapped up Full Court Press, the documentary that Espn produced following Camila Cardoso, following Caitlin Clark, as well as Kiki Rice out of UCLA, following their seasons and their runs in the NCAA tournament, giving us a behind-the-scenes look at last season and all three of the players' journeys, heading from high school to the youth leagues to high school to making their college decision, giving us a behind-the-look at their family. It's emotional. There's gut-wrenching moments. It's nerve-wracking. And I mean, I'm watching this and I already know how these games end, and I'm still sitting at the edge of my seat, man. Watching Caitlin Clark chase records, watching Camila Cardoso trying to break out of the shadow of Aaliyah Boston. I mean, it's just incredible. Watching Kiki Rice going to UCLA, trying to reciprocate, trying to imitate and repeat and store UCLA's history comparative to their male counterparts. They're trying to get some rings at UCLA too, man. So we're gonna get into it. But before we do all that, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button for all the latest and the greatest. And join our memberships. We got that exclusive content coming daily, weekly, whenever you need it. Now, let's get into it.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
Now, we mentioned the documentary features Clark, Cardoso, and Rice, three of the top players in the nation, playing for three of the top teams in the nation. Rice is the only one. She's a sophomore underclassman that will be back in college hoops next year. It was emotional, though, man, especially Camila Cardoso's part, seeing how she left Brazil, left her family behind at just 14 years old to come to the States and play at Hamilton Heights to chase her dream. And it was just, she comes from humble beginnings out there in Brazil. We see the pressure, the monumental just expectations, and the intensity that Don Staley coaches with. I thought that was sensational to see how Coach Don Staley really gets after it, really talks to these players, really motivates them, and instills that belief in them to push them to the next level. Because to be great, you got to do a lot of things other people aren't willing to do, man. It was a special run from South Carolina this year. They replaced 5 starters after losing Caitlin Clark in the Final Four in Iowa last season. They come back on a redemption tour. And I think it was just incredible to see just behind the scenes how Camila Cardoso started her career at Syracuse. She always wanted to be at South Carolina, but was nervous, didn't know she was good enough, went and dominated in the ACC, and then came to South Carolina a year later, came off the bench, won 6th Player of the Year, and then she did the unthinkable, man. She broke out, established herself as a household name, a superstar, just beating the odds, winning a national championship and putting South Carolina on her back. And now she's a Gamecock legend forever. She became a lottery pick in the WNBA draft, has picked up NIL deals, signed that WNBA contract. She's battling the injury right now, could be out 4 to 6 weeks, but overall, man, it's been a really, really productive and just special 18 months from Cardoso. Seeing her growth from last year to this season, coming off the bench last season and then becoming the focal point this year for this offense. And it was emotional, man, seeing her mom and her sister, what they sacrificed, and them Don Staley bringing them out to see her on senior night. I mean, it was sensational, man. And she even talked about how emotional it was.
I left Brazil to chase my dreams, which was play basketball in a high level, get a better education, give my family a better life. My mom was a little nervous because I was like 14 at the time. I didn't speak no English. I was moving to a whole different country. I didn't know nothing about the culture. On the first 2 months that I left home, it was the hardest months for me. I wasn't eating. I lost like almost 20 pounds. I was very sad, but I used to call them every day. And they just used to tell me, you just got to stay strong and continue to chase your dreams.
Then we know Caitlin Clark, the mega superstar, we see her rise. We see that she actually committed to Notre Dame with Coach Muffy McGraw initially when she was a senior in high school and switched it. Because, she's Catholic. A lot of Catholics go to Notre Dame, obviously, for obvious reasons. She switched her commitment and stayed home at the crib. And we see what playing for Iowa means to her, man. The fact that she had, they were doing the intros, the roll calls, having her come out at just a kid, man, 7 years old, being introduced as an Iowa guard. The future was written. It was all written in the stars. She grew up going to games for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and she has the state on her back. We saw her elevate women's college hoops to heights that we've never seen before. She is an absolute superstar. She completely changed women's hoops forever, became the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, took Iowa to consecutive national championship games, won back-to-back Player of the Year awards, just completely ran the table and cleaned up, became the number 1 draft pick, taking her talent. She ended up in Indiana after all. It just took a little bit more time, but Indiana still gets grace with her presence, and she's off to a solid start in the WNBA. Her coach did have some remarks, and we talked about it in my last video about, her shot selection. And we'll see, there's going to be growing pains. It's 2 preseason games in. We're not panicking. We're not talking about anything that's permanent or anything like that. The growing pains and the development will happen. But I think, too, it was interesting that we got the behind-the-scenes look. They went back to that scene when Iowa lost to LSU that last year. Angel Reese hitting her with the ring celebration. And we didn't really consider, I guess it was so much on Angel Reese, like Caitlin Clark also had to go through that emotional battle, being a competitor, trying to get over the win, and just take in and appreciate their magical run at Iowa. And all anybody wanted to talk about was the "you can't see me" thing. So that was interesting to see, man. But it's all been positivity and love between her and Angel Reese. And we've just seen this narrative, this false narrative being created to try to stir up tension for clicks and views, because that's what's driving the world today in media. But that's neither here nor there. But I thought it was just awesome to see, to revisit the crossover at the Kinnick game when over 55,000 people packed the Iowa football stadium to see these ladies play, to take on DePaul and to see Caitlin Clark, the show. We're seeing the impact of the celebrities, man, that are coming out. I mean, I seen John Legend out there. I was like, bro, okay. Like Travis Scott, musicians, actors. I seen Tony Romo say Caitlin Clark was the best player he's ever seen. Like, you build it, they will come. We saw women's college hoops reach all-time highs this year. They capitalized off last year. We were thinking, like, could it be bigger than last year? And this year, they completely just took it to the next level. And I think we're just getting more familiar with these superstars because these players are sticking around longer than players in the men's game typically. There's no one and done in college. Then we got to see Kiki Rice's background, how she, started off at a school that really wasn't known for hoops or sports in general. And, she turned it into a winning program. She tried to do the same thing at UCLA. They've got that super sophomore class. And I think she showed a lot of growth from last year to this year. And I think as long as they have those sophomores intact, man, they're going to be just fine, man. Jaquez, Lauren Betts, London Jones, they're going to be just fine. I'm excited to continue to see this growth, though, around the game. It was cool, man. Shout out to ESPN. Shout out to State Farm for just really capturing these athletes in a vulnerable place, man. I mean, it's hard to expose yourself and get in front of that camera and really just open up to the world like they did. So I thought it was just a cool journey to see their seasons. Cardoso obviously getting the national championship. Her and Caitlin Clark, early lottery first round picks in the WNBA draft. Just seeing young people achieve their dreams, man. It was emotional. It was emotional taking those episodes in, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. It was emotional, man. It was a lot. It was, if you was watching that, you was fighting back tears or you might not have a heart, bro. I'm just saying, it was very emotional, but it was also just inspiring as well, man. You see the behind the scenes, we get to see them on game day, but people don't know the preparation that they're putting in off the court and behind the scenes in the practice gym. You know what I'm saying? During the summer, in the off season, you don't get to see all that. You just get to see them suit up for game day. So seeing the passion that these players have for the game, the preparation that they're putting in, and the work and the rewards that they're being rewarded with, it's really just great to see. I thought this was a great series, and I hope they continue it next year with 3 new players, to be honest with y'all. I would love to see Hannah Hidalgo and Juju Watkins on something like this as well. Just, getting a behind-the-scenes look, taking it all in, getting to know their personalities. These teams are full of personalities, and you can tell with UCLA, with South Carolina, with Notre Dame. These groups, I said Notre Dame. I meant UCLA and Iowa and South Carolina. I was talking about Hannah Hidalgo. But anyways, seeing these 3 programs, you notice that these teams genuinely felt like they enjoyed being around each other, being best friends. It was dope to see Caitlin Clark win with Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin. And Molly Davis as well. These players that have been around this program and been pillars of not only the Iowa basketball program, but the community as well, man. Like, that's a lot of pressure on your shoulders to deal with. So I thought that was awesome. I love seeing that side of Coach Dawn Staley, just fiery. She's real, man. She's keeping it a buck with you. But if you listen to her and put in that work, the recipe it speaks for itself, man. She will get you where you need to go. I've been seeing a lot about these way too early rankings. I've seen South Carolina mentioned as high as 1st and as high as 3rd, man. UCLA will be in the running. Iowa expecting a rebuild. We'll see, though. Lucy Olsen definitely going to come in and provide immediate buckets. The 3rd lead scorer in the nation last year, only behind Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins. So Iowa's doing a great job rebuilding, retooling. They'll still have Hannah Stolke, Sydney Falter as well. So I think they will be in really good hands, but they're not in the same category right now as a South Carolina, who's bringing back elite talent across the board. Is Ashlyn Watkins or Sanaya Fagan that next big that takes that elite step? Have y'all been watching Chloe Kitts adding on muscle, working on the handle, working on the perimeter skills? She's definitely a breakout candidate. I think my next video we'll talk about potential breakout candidates for South Carolina, man, because Malaysia Fulwiley as well, Raven Johnson, Pow back, Joyce Edwards, Maddie McDaniel, Tessa Johnson. McDaniel, battling the injury, so we might not see much of her next year, but they got Adele Tack as well. This group is just loaded. Bree Hall, Breezy coming back as well. This team is just stacked, man. So I think they return more talent than just about anybody, even without Camila Cardoso. We saw her miss 4 games, and this team didn't skip a beat. And then we mentioned the super sophomores for UCLA. I think it's going to be a very fun basketball season next season. Of course, UCLA will be back in the running. South Carolina expecting to defend that national title. Juju Watkins and USC have freaking loaded up. Notre Dame has added talent. They get Olivia Miles back. Texas has done their thing. There's a lot of great storylines for next season that we'll continue to dive in. And then as far as Cardoso, when she gets back from injury, we'll definitely keep updating you guys on her rookie season, as well as Caitlin Clark, who got her first win at home in that arena this weekend. So that was cool to see as well. We'll keep following them and keep you guys updated on all the latest and the greatest. That's a wrap for us. Until next time, I'm Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for all the latest and the greatest. Again, until next time, we out.